Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Hamza Chowdhury. It is Thursday, April 8th, 2021, and this is our today's daily recap video. And in this video, we go over stocks that we cover on our weekly Sunday video. And this week, we're covering Apple, Tesla, Palantir, Clover Health, Spce, and we're covering AI. Hope you guys are doing well. If you do enjoy this video, I always appreciate if you guys do hit the like and subscribe button. As always, we're a 100% free content channel, and we definitely depend on your support to keep this channel going. And I hope you guys are doing well. The market has sort of rebounded and kind of given us new highs. And so a lot of the stocks that we have sort of been beaten down are coming back, and some of the EV stocks like Tesla and NIO are coming back. So hopefully you guys are doing well. I've actually been focused a little bit on the momentum stocks lately. There's been quite a few. Today we had Rice. That was quite the mover. Great short opportunities on these overextended moves. And then of course there's plenty of short traps as well. And so I've been sort of trading some of the momentum plays and not so much the larger caps. And you know, it was a great day and it's been a great week now if we start off with Apple. And so out here I have these green lines. These are our strong support lines, and Apple's just been on an absolute tear. And you can see, you know, we went from being oversold back at the end of February, and now we're all of a sudden getting to overbought. And Apple's just been now on the upper Bollinger Band. And we talked about this range right here, which was a breakout of this sort of top that we had here, where we multiple times on the daily candle we hit, which was the 127.50. And I mentioned a few days ago that we needed to break this top to really see Apple sort of break through and get back onto the bullish side. And so we were already trading on the bullish side of the Bollinger Band, but we were still technically trading under the 50-day, which is a bearish signal. And so the fact that we not only broke out of this top and we made now a higher high, right? So we had this low here, we had a high here, we made a a higher low, and now we've made a higher high, tells me that we definitely have a reversal. Okay, so we have a reversal from all of this negative momentum in Apple. And so we had this really strong day, and you can see that now with this positive momentum, Apple has not only validated a lot of these levels, and it broke through since we've had our bottom here at 117.80. And so it essentially broke through. It bounced off 125 yesterday. It got through and it held above 127.50. And then today it continued its sort of tear. Okay. And so as Apple continues to do this, we're going to continue to build on this momentum. And, now that we're trading above 130, that was my short-term price target, right? Was between 130. And now that we've hit that, right, we can also see that this may want to come down a little bit. Okay. And so I could definitely see us retesting the 127.50 and validating that as a support. Okay. Because we really had a test yesterday, we closed above it, but we never tested it today. Okay, and we continued higher. And so just based on the chart and knowing that we're on the upper Bollinger Band, don't be surprised if you see a test of it tomorrow. Okay, but it's a strong day, and Apple is definitely proving why it's one of the better stocks to hold. And if you are back holding any stocks or you're adding shares at these dip buys. Okay, and so we talked about this a long time ago, guys, is don't forget to pay yourself up here. Okay, you pay yourself and rebuy on these dips. And when we talk about dips, we're talking about 10, 15, 20% dips that now you can ride back the next leg up. Okay, and this next leg up is when you're on this upper Bollinger Band. Okay, and that's the kind of price action you see on all of these moves. Okay, and so even if tomorrow we trade sideways, it doesn't mean that we're off this upper Bollinger Band. And you can see clearly we're all pointed upwards. All of our signals and technical indicators are pointing upwards. Okay. And so for Tesla, same thing, is that 695 continues to be a resistance. It's definitely one of the strongest EV market. And I know that there was an analyst that came out yesterday, talked about Tesla being a $150 stock. And, it really bothers me personally. And you could be totally, disagreeing with what I have to say. I don't mind at all. But it just bothers me when you just throw out random numbers and say, well, I think it should be $150. And its values is all car companies combined. And they're really missing the fundamental point. Tesla is not necessarily just a car company. Okay, it might have been a car company 10 years ago, but it clearly has been and demonstrated that it's an energy company. It tied, shortly after the Texas storms, it tied in enough energy to help boost the I think it was like 3,000 homes worth of energy into the Texas grid. And it's done that with, the Solar City acquisition it's had several years ago. I've personally worked on projects where I've helped homeowners, install the Tesla solar modules on top of their homes. My family members have Tesla batteries at their homes. And so you have this energy sector of Tesla that, you know, if you're going to focus on the auto, yes, I understand that you can see it's auto overvalued because, you know, there's obviously a market share of Tesla in the EV space. They're years and years ahead of the competition. And so, you know, yes, what were we extremely bullish, you know, a couple months ago? Extremely. And we had this great consolidation. And I mentioned that this consolidation wasn't a pump and dump. This actually held key levels. And so what we expected is the retest getting back up here, right? So we had the sell off, we had the haircut, and now we made a higher low, right? We also made a high here, and now we're clearly uptrending. And similar to Apple, I wouldn't be surprised to see a break of this 50. And I mentioned the same similar behavior is there's this top around 710 to 715 that we need to break and hold until we can get over the 50. And so Tesla is one of the strongest companies, and it's established itself in all regions, including China, where it oversells more cars than NIO. And so it just surprises me when a lot of these sort of analysts, just sort of the companies that are changing the fundamentally how we not only buy cars, make cars, and then the energy sector in general, and they're changing and they're shifting the movement into, you know, of course, renewable energy. And so it's just, you know, it's kind of just random when you see these guys that just throw out random prices. Maybe it just tells you they're probably short and they've lost a lot of money on Tesla. I don't know. But this is a company that long term is bullish, and it's still relatively a young company and has a bright future ahead, and it's only getting bigger. That's another thing too, guys. Keep in mind, these are companies that are emerging. They're getting into new markets. They just got into Tesla in India the last few months. What do you think India is going to do? It's going to blow up in the EV sector next year, and so it's going to keep growing, and it doesn't need to, you know, constantly raise money in order to grow. And because it's already almost $1 trillion company, this is a company that it has plenty of cash. It already doubled its investment in Bitcoin, and that, as we talked about in the previous video, essentially made more money in Bitcoin than it has in cars. And so to say it's really just an auto company, I think it's sort of downgrading the company and sort of putting it down, considering all the positive things it's done, especially for all the people who've gone through these storms and have had to sort of rely on their Tesla for heat and for shelter in some cases. And so clearly the 695 has been giving it problems. Not too worried about it because we're really bouncing off the 660, and we've held the levels up here. And so I expect that we're definitely going to break this top, and we had a lot of good momentum coming in on Monday. And so, you know, just stay patient. And like I said, once we can we're on the upper Bollinger Band part now, so we're on the bullish side. But once we break through this 50, I expect to continue to see a ride back up into the 800s. And like I mentioned, this year, still shooting for $1,000 price target for the stock. Palantir, you know, clearly still we have our 2350 resistance level. It's been given Palantir a lot of problems, but you can see that we held that level up today. And so I definitely expect us to get back up over 24 tomorrow. And we held the level pretty well, you know, and we tried several times. And so when you consolidate around a certain level and you're constantly trying to break it, right, and you're not ready, and then it's, you know, and it holds that level, then don't be surprised if it does break it. We know that Palantir has been beaten down and it has its double click demo day coming up in a few days. And so same thing, we're sort of on the bearish side of the stock, but, you know, we just really need a jump in volume like we had on the days here. And of course, on the first demo day we had back at the end of January. Okay, and so it's just been kind of fading off, and it's been trading really just sideways in this channel that we've had for the last 3 weeks. We've been in this sort of Bollinger channel, and the 50-day here is still around 2750. And so don't be surprised to see that level be broken in the next couple weeks. Okay, Clover Health, probably one of the biggest stocks that we probably one on this channel we've covered for the last, you know, quite a while now. And, you know, I mentioned several times in the past that, guys, all we need is a catalyst, right? And these stocks, the problem is the only catalyst you had in Clover Health was that the stock was a sham, and that the whole company was, you know, basically the Hindenburg short seller report coming out and taking the stock, and it never recovered. And then we had the earnings, and the earnings, you know, indicated a loss, and it, you know, it showed that they have 50,000 members and they're growing. But guys, I mentioned there's just no catalyst. And so what happens when you have a catalyst like you had today, right, is look at this massive jump in volume. Okay, and so you have 78 million shares, 77 million shares when the average is 12. So you have 6 times the daily volume. And so when you have that type of volume, you get that type of a push. And props to one of our followers, Hadi here, because, you know, you had mentioned that there's going to be a short squeeze, and, you know, you called it the last couple of days. Obviously it happened today, but there definitely was a squeeze. And now what's a short squeeze for some of you guys? A short squeeze is what? When we go parabolic, when we go vertical. Okay, when you move essentially up, and imagine if you're a short, right? So what's a short squeeze? Well, I'm shorting at, you know, this level here, Well, that failed, and it kept going up. So you can see that if you look at the 15-minute chart, look at the volume jump. The volume never died down. It wasn't a pump and then dump on some news that basically it will be able to enter several other states with its business model. It held the level, and then it consolidated, and it held more, and then it bounced consistently off an 880 resistance level that we identified a couple weeks ago. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that level as resistance at 880, although we closed right above it. But, you know, at the same time, I want to see it validated as a support. And so what I think is going to happen, I mentioned to you guys in my game plan, is I'm long Clover, is I'm going to be selling to the push at 1050. And that plan hasn't changed. We've held the level, we consolidated well. And, you know, just going back these last few weeks, guys, we just didn't have a catalyst. We had no volume. The volume was dead. And now all of a sudden you get this catalyst, and look what it does to the stock. It absolutely goes up 20%. So congratulations to all the Clover longs. Congratulations for those of you guys who've been following us and have been adding shares when we clearly made this bottom. I still mentioned last week that we clearly had a lot of support here at the $7 channel, and this still in theory, even though we have several doji candles, still in theory make a higher low than the previous low here that we had a few weeks ago at 630. And so, you know, great day, and hopefully we should see that 1050 push, you know, and get really aggressive with the stock. And like I said, I'm still long Clover, but I am looking to exit my shares to this push right above the 50. Okay, but like I mentioned before, guys, this was just a stock that was beaten down, that had no news. Once the catalyst comes in, the volume comes in, the stock gets boosted. So congratulations. Hopefully you guys held through it. I know it's been hard. We talked about margin calls. We talked about trying to find the bottom. But guys, now you know, if you were part of Clover today, you saw, right, the engulfing candle that we talk about. Clearly, this is an engulfing candle, wipes out all these candles previously, broke through a lot of our key levels and resistance levels. And now you can see that my 925 level, which I identified previously even before the 880 level, now you can see that's been kind of the consolidation range. And so I can see 880, 925 is consolidation, but like I said, I really want to see a push to 1050 where I'll be selling my shares personally. Okay, Spce, I mentioned, guys, Virgin Galactic, that I was short biased coming into a couple days ago. I was short biased here, and similar to AI, you know, these stocks gap up, they consolidate, and then they just fail. And so I was short biased. I scalped short a lot of trades, and this is why, you know, it's just there's weakness in the stock. And I mentioned to you guys, if you go back to my last video, is where did I want to buy, you know, Virgin, right? I wanted to buy it right here. I wanted to buy it at 2850. The problem is 2850 never came that day, and it never came this day either, right? But I mentioned here that it almost came 2850 on Monday, and then guess what we got today? Today's low was what? 2850. And so we clearly validated the support. And so for you guys, you know, who got this move at 2850, guys, congratulations, because you got a really good price for stock that was just $31, you know, essentially 10% higher yesterday. And so great buy at 2850. If, you know, if anything, you're already up 75 cents at the time of the recording of this video. And so it's just a great stock to buy, and you can clearly see we just have so much converging. We have a great solid support. We have the bottom part of the Bollinger Band at 2750. We have the anchored VWAP, and we also have the 200-day average. And you can see they're all within $1 of each other. And so it's just a strong buy. Not a whole lot of volume, so definitely we can see that the algos aren't necessarily looking at it as aggressively, excuse me. And so, you know, just hold on to your shares at 2850, and like I said, you can ride it all the way up to here and top of the consolidation range, which is $36. Okay, and then AI is probably now, I would say, one of the weaker stocks that we've covered. Same idea. We had $72 earlier this week in the pre-market, and it's just sort of been fading off. It tried to come back, and now you can see that this sort of consolidation range around 65 is acting as resistance. And then it just does these sell-offs, even aftermarket, on no news. There's absolutely no news. It just does these sell-offs. But, you know, we identified a strong support at 61.50, and you can see we had a bounce like that. It looks like we traded slightly below that, and we had a bounce off the 61.50. So that remains a strong support for the stock, but it's just been an absolute disappointment. Again, same thing. You can see it's starting to form a channel, and it's on the bearish side of the channel. And so as long as we trade in this channel, you know, between 60 and really up here in the $90 range, you know, I told you, I mentioned I'm looking in the low 80s to start selling my shares, and I'll start maybe holding on to a position until we get to the 50-day. Same thing, guys. There's just absolutely no catalyst, and if you look through all these candles, not a single engulfing candle. Okay, and so now that we've had a clearly an identified candle here, I can shut this off for you guys. You can see exactly what an engulfing candle looks like. Okay, so its low and top are basically greater than any of these previous candles, and so it engulfs, and obviously clearly you can see the volume. Okay, and we just don't see that in AI. And so what they want you to do is eventually just sell your shares to them, and then they run it up on news. Okay, and so I'm holding on. I mentioned I bought some shares down here in the high 70s, and I'm just holding on and letting this thing retrace itself. Okay, so with that said, guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day and take care. Bye bye.